Nosy parents of teenagers, what do you wish you shouldn't have seen? I raised a daughter as a single father. I am not a natural snoop. I try to not be too nosy. The worst part for me was having her around my mom. My mom is more nosy than any 5 people I have ever met. My mom was left alone in my house with just the dog when my daughter was 15. My daughter is now in her mid-20s and I still have not heard the last from my mom about her having 3 different vibrators. And therefore is somehow perverted. She hasn't lived at home since she left for college at 18. A DLDO won't get her pregnant, hooked on drugs, or hit her up for money. So it's fine by me. My son has a towel for a specific private purpose. It needs to be washed. You should get him a box. My mom walked in on me doing a 2-handed lube jerk. The headphones I had on were loud enough to block out the door opening sound but not her scream. Edit. Should probably mention it was also her lube. She was more mad at the fact that you were using her lube. Edit. My mom found my butt plug tail on the bathroom counter. I had washed it and forgot it in there. She was crying laughing as she threw it at me. As a kid, it seemed like no matter where you hid tea, your mother would find it. I had a nice stash of spank mags when I was a young teen, and decided I would hide them in one of my guitar cases. Even behind the guitar. My mother would have absolutely no reason whatsoever to open one of those. She still found them, and acted like she wasn't looking for anything. Ugh. Couldn't imagine tearing my kid's room apart looking for something unless I absolutely had to. This is why people find stashes of PRN in the woods. I found a poopy DLDO hidden in the now unused floor vent in the bathroom. I lived with my mom and 4 younger brothers. It doesn't matter whose it was. I'm still wishing I'd never seen that. What sort of scruffy FK doesn't clean a DLDO after using it? Especially if you're already in a bathroom. When we moved house and all the stuff was in the new place, one of the moving guys called me out to double check the receipt, and when we were out of my mom's earshot line he handed me the weed pipe that had fallen out of the hidey hole in the back of my desk when they were moving it. I had a dragon DLDO in a specially made container that looked like a pillow. My mom still found that Schmorman. That was a nasty conversation. If God doesn't approve, why'd he put our G-spot up there? Not a parent, but a snooping child. Found a box of my mom's dildos and lube in a different drawer. Found a photo of my dad naked in the shower. My dad had died several years prior to my snooping discovery. Not a parent, but the only time my mom ever searched my computer history was 10 minutes after I had googled what quiz are. Not a parent, just a dumb moth FK. My dad once found PRN, huge dick in girls' ass, doggy, as my desktop wallpaper because I thought it would be better to fap that way. Upvote for efficiency. I think what we can't take away most from this is that there are no parents on Reddit. It's just a bunch of teenagers getting caught masturbating. Not a parent. This happened a couple years ago when I still lived with my mom and stepdad. My stepsister used to live in my room and it had been nearly a year since she moved out. I had a vibrating DLDO that my best friend had bought me as a joke, but not really a joke, for a birthday gift. I used it frequently and I would hide it in the bottom of a drawer in my closet hidden in a hat. My mom decided to snoop and found it but somehow thought it was my stepsister's and kept it. I asked her about it and she was blown away by the fact that I masturbated, but she was going to send the toy in the mail back to my sisty without telling her. Now that would have been a disaster. TLDR. My mom almost sent my DLDO to my sister in the mail. Update. I texted her about it and she had the typical response like, "Not my daughter." And yes, I did get it back but soon threw it out because the thought of my mom knowing what I use was too much. My mom cleaned my room, totally not to snoop, and found my DLDO and vibrator when I was 18. Serves her right. The toys were really well hidden. He had to dig to find them. Also not a parent, but I have a younger brother. I went to his room to search something up on the internet. And he left his tabs open. Apparently he likes Wincest. Edit. Likes. Not like. My 12-year-old stepson's group chat on his iPhone entitled Sarah Suck Big Dick. I was cleaning my 7-year-old's room because it was a f***ing mess and I was sick of it. I found a collection of apple cores, orange peels and candy wrappers stashed under the bed. Some had been there a long time. Back in high school, my friend Ali's house was right next to our campus. I wasn't allowed to go hang out after school. Though, no boys were unless her mother was home. Why? Because mom had walked in on a lie giving a guy oral sex in the basement one day. The only reason I actually know this story is because one day I was there with parental supervision. And when mom has to leave for errands, she said, well, I wish I could leave you guys here alone. But I guess a lie really blew that chance. I have never seen a teenager turn that red. Not a parent, but was preteen at the time the internet was starting to get going. My parents saw my search history after I became confused how sex works in homosexual relationships and googled it. That led to some interesting questions. So how does it work? Who decides whose penis swallows the other penis? Not a parent, but when my brother was 7 he was complaining of my mom's PC running slow. Out of curiosity I check history in case he downloaded any viruses. Minecraft PRN was multiple of the searches. Yet wish I was kidding. Stroke. Edit. Most upvoted comment is about my disgustingly curious younger brother. Thanks Reddit. So I have a bunch of weird sleep issues and one of them is the ability to hold conversations with people while I am in a deep sleep. I have no memory of the conversations. My mom found out about this when I was a teenager and apparently she would sneak into my room in the middle of the night and sleep me would dish out all the scoop. Who was having a party? Who I liked? Which of my friends made bad life choices? Everything. She would never punish me for it but would give advice based on what sleep me confessed. It always confused me on how much she knew about my life. When I'm extra tired or stressed this comes back and apparently I have had hilarious conversations with my husband. I have just recently discovered that I passed this trait down to my son. Part of me is tempted to get the scoop from my kid but another part of me wants to respect his personal space. Not a parent, but a witness to their finding something they didn't want to see. Work IT. Guy had his daughter's computer that was having issues opening some photo application and needed it fixed. As we're going through and checking if it worked. Yet. Open up and presented an image of his daughter. Naked. Holding a huge DLDO. No words were exchanged. He closed the lid and left. Edit. I got quite a few questions about the age of the daughter. And honestly, can't say. He mentioned her being home from college. His sweet little angle with a sweet big DLDO. Lol. Edit. Spelled angel wrong. People discussing trigonometry below this comment. My son's hentai collection. Hentai. I once found a sock that would not only stand on its own but could be used to prop a window open. I would have sat the kid down for a conversation but I don't have kids. I also have an uneven number of socks now. My daughter's boyfriend left his condom wrapper in her bathroom trash can. Twice. It was a Magnum. Both times. I'm very glad they are using double protection. She's also on BC and they were both virgins. But goddamn I hate it. Well at least he's got a Magnum dong. Typical not a parent. I was helping my recently turned teen cousin with a PC problem. I know his dad has some controls set so I did a little snooping to see how effective they were. Apparently the kids discovered futanery and hentai. He likes the classics. Black Bible was searched for a lot. Didn't tell his dad. But I did pure all the FCK out of my hands. Bible Black. My man. Parents, why do you feel the need to go through your teen stuff? My mom always went through my stuff. I never had anything to hide but it always made me feel violated and it made me feel the need to hide stuff from my parents. Even if it was something small like a date or a birthday card from a friend. Let your teens have a safe place in their room where they can keep stuff that they feel is private. If you have any worries about drugs or other things, be honest and open with them. Edit. Holy shit, I can't believe this is my most upvoted comment. It is my birthday today and I have had some unusual luck today. Although I didn't really do anything and had a rather normal and casual birthday. I was surprised with a job interview for a job I really want. And making comment that became my most upvoted comment was just the cherry on top. Thank you Reddit for making my birthday even better than I expected. Edit. Thank you for the birthday gold. Neither of my parents seem to be nosy. But I have had some interesting moments. Like at one point my dad wanted me to look something on the web and saw I had Medina Arabic on the bookmark tab. And naturally, his first response is, "Are you trying to join ISIS?" I am just really into languages. Something that apparently my family finds really weird. Edit. Whoa. This really blew up. At least to my perspective. From 20 karma to 350. I couldn't believe my eyes. My mom found a thing saying I was bi and confronted me while crying about it and begging me to tell her why I had turned away from God. 6 years later and I'm still so far in the closet I may as well rule Narnia. My mom found a thing saying I was bi. She found your bisexuality license? You gotta hide that shit well lad. A small bag of weed stuffed in the bottom of his fleshlight. You were looking in his fleshlight? Wish I had not found my own teenage diary hidden in my teen daughter's room. Not a parent's story, but my piece of shitty brother-in-law would try to catch me doing shitty. My sister is much older, so I'd stay with them sometimes in the summer when I was a kid. He showed me his new computer and then said don't give anyone my AOL password and just left me alone for a day while they worked. I was 12 with free reign to the internet. He came home with a perverted grin on his fat face. Did you know I can see what websites you've been to today? Oh, I can. He sat down at his computer, fired up the history with a glimpse in his dead pig eyes and saw 12 hours of activity. Of me doing two things. Reading about animorphs and Star Trek and chatting about animorphs and Star Trek. Not a parent. Went to take a piss in a stall at school. Found a cell phone on the TP dispenser. It didn't have a lock screen. I thought I would search in the contacts for someone the owner spoke to regularly, mom or whoever, to send them a text. Found your son's phone. It'll be with campus security. As soon as I swiped to unlock, it opened to a Google image search result page for SSI emails. I wiped the browser history, turned it into security, and went about my day like nothing happened. It was at that moment I realized how numb I was to OGT. I was not being nosy. Our family shares an Apple Cloud account and when looking through apps that people had downloaded I found one about different SX positions. My oldest kid at the time was around 12. Teenager in my case. I'm always terrified that my parents will go through the various papers I have in my room and find the tests that I didn't do as well as they would have wanted me to do. This is innocent as FCK. Not a parent, but my stepdad tracks not only my phone but also my bank account, so almost everything. He tried to track what I do on the computer, but I'm more tech savvy than he is. A friend of mine once set the homepage on his dad's work computer to a PRN site. You know, those viruses that automatically set themselves. His dad got greeted with a large woman pleasing herself with a zucchini next time he opened his browser. At work. He was not pleased, but the IT guy who had to take care of it must have had a good laugh. Edit. To clarify, he did it accidentally. He actually removed the Internet Explorer shortcut to try to hide it. Your friend is kind of a little shitty. Do that to someone's home computer. Doing that to someone's work computer can make you have to talk to HR and IT and is a pitter for everyone involved. Not a parent. But when I was a teenager, my mom, with no suspicion, managed to find my weed, which was inside 2 pairs of socks. Inside a small cinch sack. all stuffed into the bottom of my socket bag with shit piled on top. To this day she still claims she was just looking for dirty socks. Not a parent, but I'm pretty sure my mom wasn't too happy finding my stash of diapers. She did know about it, but I still got looks after she clearly went through my room for who knows what reason. Welp. The username definitely checks out for sure. I caught my 7-year-old watching PRN on his tablet. Electronics were taken. SX talk was had. Parent. It's not what I found but what I didn't. All my son's friends are a couple years older than him. A few years ago every one of them got busted with PRN except mine. All the parents, myself included, joke that he's probably the one that introduced them to it. He's just better at hiding it. That. And I don't search his internet history. Who busts their kid for having PRN? What the hell? There is nothing out of the ordinary about kids viewing PRN. Stop being so puritanical and weird about it. And your kids may not grow up with weird SX issues. Not a parent, but my mom taught me how to wash my own clothes at 6. She honestly hated doing the laundry that much. For my birthday once I turned down her offer of $100 to instead just do my laundry, adding that it would honestly appeal to me that much. She still wouldn't do it and left the Benjamin in my coat pocket. Being a late bloomer, I took home a girl to meet my parents and had SX for the first time at 21 in their basement, as many young men do. Not wanting her finding the condom in the garbage can, I emptied the rubber and pocketed it. I then changed clothes so I wouldn't smell like SX. You guessed it. 90 minutes later I see my mom folding my clothes. You're doing my laundry. For the first time in 15 years. Sigh. And you of course check the pockets. She folded quietly looking down. Yes, John Van Heen. I found the condom 8 years ago and that was, and likely always will be, the last time she did my laundry. Not a parent, nor does this involve any of my siblings, but I did find gay PRN in a rectory. For non-Catholics it's where priests live. My Boy Scout troop was connected to my church and our priest, who is a stand-up guy, asked us to clean out some of the spare bedrooms that weren't occupied anymore. This place was a friggin' mansion, so they needed all the free labor they could get. Digging through one of the closets there I happened upon a metric shit ton of gay PRN. They weren't magazine though. They were slides. Like old school slides for a Kodak carousel projector. Me being a naive, but not ignorant of how f'd up the church is, 12-year-old at the time, I thought there could potentially be some less than legal PRN in the mix. So I stupidly took it upon myself to look at every slide to make sure I didn't have to go to the police. I tossed that shit in a dumpster and never mentioned it again. Not me, but a family friend was looking through her daughter's phone without her permission. 2 minutes after I told her she shouldn't do that, she found out her daughter had been on a lesbian chat site and burst into tears. Should have minded her own damn business. No teenager, but I live in studio apt with my wife and a 9-year-old stepson. Kid thinks he's slick and doesn't realize I know half the shit he tries to pull. Like he tries to stay up late and sneak his phone video games, and I can hear it 90% of the time. When I was a teen my dad walked in on me and my GF during SX. She was on top. Dad opened the door and everything paused. We looked at him. He looked at us. After a few moments he said, "Your mom is making cookies and wants to know if you guys want any." No, Dad, we're fine. Okay, then he closes the door. If my door was ever closed he knocked after that. And he never brought it up. Thanks, Dad. In high school I bought a pipe for weed. It went missing days afterwards, so naturally I was panicked. I searched the house top to bottom and asked my brother, who was 12, if he had it. His answer was no, and it sent me into a panic loop of searching house asking brother. I had written it off until a month later when I heard a commotion from my brother's room. My father found the pipe and my brother claimed it was mine. My father stormed down the hall and woke me up with, "Is this your hash pipe?" Full stop. I had to stifle a laugh. First time I had even heard the word hash used as a drug name, and told him nope. Never seen that before. He went down the hall and proceeded to kick the shit out of my brother for smoking hash and lying. Still to this day I have a smile on my face telling this story. Worst part is I don't think he ever even got to smoke anything out of the pipe. Was just a kleptomaniac.